Hi there, welcome back to Market Fatafat. Thanks so much for staying tuned with us. And as promised, let's keep it going with all the stocks that are in focus today. Now on the technicals, let's welcome Foram Chheda, founder at Chart Analytics. She's joining us. And once again, we have Gaurav and Anshua back with us from our in-house research team. Good afternoon once again, Forum. And before we come to you, let me talk about a stock that's doing pretty well today, and that's Ashoka Buildcon. The company is in focus after they've announced that they have emerged as the lowest bidder, which is the L1 bidder, for an engineering, procurement and construction project, which is an EPC project awarded by the Central Railway, and this is valued at 568.86 crore rupees. The company, the project involves the construction of earthwork, major and minor bridges, roads, under bridges, permanent way work and other miscellaneous civil works related to the gauge conversion from Pachora to Jamner, and the work is scheduled to be completed within 30 months of signing this contract. So good order win coming in for the company. Roughly 569 crore rupees is the order win coming in for Ashoka Buildcon. On the back of that, the stock is up almost 5% as we speak.
Alright, moving on then, in another news that MoRTH is planning to put toll payers to relief by announcing two new toll collection methods over the NHs and the expressways. My colleague Sameer Dixit is joining in with the details of that story. Over to you, Sameer.
The government may soon announce the proposal that aims to provide the much needed relief to the toll users. What we are picking up from our sources that Nitin Gadkari, who is the road transport minister, may sign the proposal within a week or 10 days. Basically, government is considering two proposals, of which the first proposal is to completely waive off or remove the toll that is applicable on 2.5 lane highways. Government understands that this will have a negligible impact when it comes to the revenue collection. Also, these are the highways which are largely public funded. The second and the most important proposal is to provide an annual toll pass to the private car users and the heavy vehicle users. For the private car users, the quantum of this annual pass could be somewhere around rupees 3,000, and this will be applicable on highways and expressways having 4 lane and above. One important aspect is that of the two, private car users and the heavy vehicle users, the quantum of relief for the heavy vehicle users will be slightly less as compared to the private vehicle or the private car users. To understand this logic, basically, if you see the toll collection for FY 24-25, the total toll collection was somewhere to the tune of rupees 61,000 crore, of which roughly around 20 to 22% was collected from the private car users, whereas the larger chunk, 70 to 80%, was collected from the heavy vehicle users. And that is the reason that government understands that yes, there will be certain revenue loss when it comes to providing relief to the toll users. In addition to this, the government understands that the government has to compensate to the private players, those who are collecting tolls on these 4-lane highways or expressways. So the entire proposal is under consideration, almost at the last stage, and it is also being discussed with the finance ministry. But we are picking up that it may be announced, the final proposal may be signed by the minister and may be announced maybe within a month.
For all of those details, let's move on then and talk about ICICI Bank on the charts forum. That's a stock that you've picked out for us, holding up pretty well today. Last 6 months YTD, 1 year, it's done pretty okay for itself. Last 1 month also, the stock was up about 8%. So it's been a shade of green that the stock has seen for quite some time now. Do you believe this could sustain and continue on the charts going ahead?
Yes, absolutely. One is, firstly, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show. Well, to begin with on this particular stock, one is that I'm quite bullish overall into the banking space, because even as compared to the leading index like Nifty, we have seen an outperformance overall in the bank Nifty space. So amongst the bank Nifty, ICICI Bank is somewhere we have seen a relative outperformance coming in. Now, even from the December highs of 1350, we have seen the stock price which declined by nearly only 12%, and now it's almost recovered back again towards its previous highs of 1350. In fact, in the month of March, we did see it breaking the 1350 and showing some signs of retracement. And with today's gap up, it is showing some even more potential for the stock price to move up higher. As far as technical indicators like first moving averages are concerned, they are giving very good support to the price at around 1270 to around 1280. So overall, the stock trend remains bullish. And as far as the volumes are concerned, there seems to be a good accumulation that is happening over the past 1 month, indicating that there is some further bullishness that we can expect. Thus, I am bullish on the stock. Those who have do not have it in your portfolio can consider the levels of 13.22 and those who have can continue to hold on to the stock with a potential target of closer to almost 1400.
All right, moving on then from ICICI Bank to within the financial space, there is an upgrade note coming by Elara Capital on the consumer finance, Bajaj Finance and SBI cards. Now on Bajaj Finance, Elara says that the asset quality woes are not fully behind, but the leading indicators indicate improving dynamics. They also see they have also upgraded Bajaj Finance to a buy rating and they've raised the target price to 11,161 rupees. And they see that the stage is set for the elephant to finally start dancing. And the strategic edges that could pivot a re-rating that should enable a sustained 25% AUM and 25% EPS CAGR that are yet to be fully played out as far as Bajaj Finance is concerned. On SBI card, they are upgrading the counter to accumulate and they've raised the target price to 965 rupees per share. They envisage a 16.5% of EPS CAGR through FY24 to 27 estimates. And on the back of that, SBI card is trading up 3% and Bajaj Finance is up in a way 2.5% in trade.
Okay, so both of these are doing well on the back of an Elara note coming in, and Foram, you've picked out Bajaj Finance for us on the cards as well. While Elara believes that the stock could dance, this elephant of a stock could dance, do you believe the same could happen on the technicals as well? Because over the course of time, Bajaj Finance has done pretty well. In fact, last 6 months itself, the stock is up almost 32-33%. So what are you making of this stock now?
Well, absolutely. We're quite certain about it. Now, overall, the stock price, as you rightly made a mention, has gained more than 30%. So, if you take it from the lows of around 6,400 odd in the month of November, closer to around 9,200, which is the today's recent high. And it's nearly almost, I think, 40 odd % of a return. So that's been a very good outperformance overall in the past few months. Now, since there has been a gap up and those who have the stock in the portfolio can continue to hold on because we are seeing the consistent up move in the stock by forming higher tops and higher bottoms on the charts. As far as a weekly chart is concerned, it looks even stronger as the volumes look very attractive. There has been a good accumulation in the month of Jan onwards. Secondly, it has been a technical pattern breakout on a weekly chart at a level of close to 8,000, which triggers that there is a potential up move. So the rally has just started, the momentum has just picked up, and that is what we are seeing. So for those who have do not have the stock and would like to get into it, can look for around 8,970 levels where today's gap gets filled. And as far as those who have the stock can ride on to it and look for a higher target on a positional to intermediate basis, closer to around 9,400 levels.
All right, moving on from Bajaj Finance to another financial name, HDFC Bank. Gaurav, you've picked out. In fact, this one is really aiding the Nifty today with upwards of 3.5% gains coming in. Tell us what's the news flow here.
HDFC Bank is in focus and also up in trade today, and the reason being that the bank has cut down their savings account interest rate almost by 25 basis points. Now this is actually a positive for the bank, and why I'm saying is that, for example, when we talk about the deposit rate, this will actually put some downward pressure on the deposit rate and the deposit ratio that the bank has, and that is the reason why when we look at the overall net interest margins, we will see some kind of support for the bank. Let's not forget that brokerages are now penciling in with 25 basis point of fall in the savings account rate. We may see 5 basis point of support in net interest margin for the bank. In fact, we also have Goldman Sachs who actually reiterated their buy rating and a target price of 2,087 rupees. What they're saying is that this is actually the bank has actually lowered their interest rate for the first time since June 2020. This is actually a positive move for the bank, and at the same time what they are saying is that saving account rate can actually ease up the margin pressure. Now let's also not forget that Axis Bank also came up with the same kind of move. They have also cut down the savings account rates almost by 25 basis points, and on back of the positive news flow coming up for HDFC Bank, the stock is up in trade today.
Okay, so that's the reason why HDFC Bank is in focus. Ansh, coming to you, Adani Green is the stock that you've picked out. It's doing pretty well today. Tell us what's the reason.
That's right. So the company has come up with their operational updates, and we are seeing their operational update for FY25. And here, if we talk about the numbers, then operational capacity has been increased by around 30% on year-on-year basis to 14.2 gigawatt, and to also increase to 15.2% gigawatt with additional 1 gigawatt near completion. Now, so if we talk about the energy part, then sale of energy has increased by nearly 28% on year-on-year basis at 27,969 million units in FY25, and this was mainly backed by robust capacity addition. Steady growth in generation at a CAGR of 45% over the last 5 years, with increasing proportion of merchant power has been witnessed. Also, if we talk about capacity utilization factor, then solar portfolio capacity utilization factor was at 24.8%, and this was backed by 99.5% of plant availability, whereas wind portfolio was at 27% and hybrid portfolio was at 39%. Also, if we see on chart, then the stock has surpassed about the 20 and 50 DMA level today.
All right, moving on. Moving on to an ET Now exclusive. According to ET Now sources, the government is working on new measures to check the dumping steel imports post a hike in the tariff by US administration. My colleague Prakash Pidashi is joining in with more details on this story.
The government is planning to discourage steel dumping in the country, especially after the US government's decision to impose a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum products. That's an important development coming in. The Steel Ministry has held an important meeting with the stakeholders under current circumstances where several tariff and non-tariff measures are expected to be announced. We're given to understand that quality control orders will be expanded to curb cheap imports. In fact, almost all grades of steel will be covered under quality control orders. In fact, the process has been initiated. Currently, almost 2,000 grades of steel products are under quality control orders, and now the Steel Ministry is moving ahead with the fresh proposal. The industry has already approached government. The issue has been discussed widely, and now the government is expected to announce several measures to regulate cheap imports. When it comes to tariff measures, imposition of safeguard duties on steel products from China and Vietnam is already under active discussion of the government, which will be announced very soon, where DGTR has made a recommendation to impose 12% duty on certain category of steel products.
Okay, thanks Prakash for joining us with all of those exclusive details, and we'll keep you updated with on how that story develops. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break, and when we return, we'll once again take a look at all the big buzzers in today's trade. So you stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Market Fatafat, where we are taking you through all the buzzes in trade today, why they are buzzing, either on the back of news flow or on the back of technicals. So let's get started with this, all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. Yet again, Foram coming to you. You've picked out big boy Reliance for us. Now tell us, what do you see on the charts for Reliance? If I look at the chart, today it's up and away 2%. But in the last 6 months, in fact, in the last 1 year, the stock hasn't really done much. In fact, it is trading down 15%. So it hasn't really done much for the investors. On the charts now, do you see the stock to finally start moving?
This would not be particularly for the investment, but definitely from a trading perspective, or those who have already got into the stock and have been holding and do not know what to do, or rather exit or wait for some better levels to sell. So one is that when we talk about this big boy, we have seen that in the past, say since November or from the past 4-5 months, that the stock price was trying to take support at 1200 levels, which were breached initially in the month of beginning of March, and then we saw last Monday that there was a gap down opening, which triggered that there could be some further weakness. However, this week, the previous week itself, the stock price recovered and had given a good closing about 1200 levels. So 1200 was a very important level from a weekly chart perspective, which were held up. Now, since you're seeing a very good gap up opening today and the stock price is sustaining above those levels, currently it is hovering between the 50-day as well as the 100-day moving average, that is closer to 1240 levels. Now, from here on also, we can start expecting the stock price to consolidate in a narrow range. However, from an intermediate perspective, around 1,320 is the potential up move, which is like a broader part of the intermediate consolidation. So, according to me, it's a hold, and those who are looking to buy should wait for lower levels, but around 1320 should be considered as an upside target.
Okay, so that's the strategy on Reliance. Hold if you have it, and buy on dips is the strategy coming in from Foram. Gaurav, coming to you, Vodafone Idea is the stock that you've picked out for us. I believe it's on the back of a brokerage note. Tell us what it is.
Vodafone Idea is in focus, and if we look at the stock performance also, it is actually up in trade today, and this is on the back of the brokerage note. So now Citi has given a high risk buy call on this company, and they have maintained their target price of 12 rupees per share. Now what Citi is highlighting is that when we talk about government stake, around 3,700 crores worth of stake was converted from dues to equity for the company. Let's not forget that the deal price for this conversion was around 10 rupees per share, and after that Vodafone Idea, when we talk about the company, government now owns around 49% stake in the company. What Citi has also highlighted is that on the other hand, when we look at the rating, credit rating, ICRA has now recently upgraded Vodafone's rating to investment grade BBB minus, which will also support the debt raise efforts that the company can put in future. And on the back of all these announcements, Citi remains a little positive on the stock. They have, that is the reason why they have given a call, actually buy call. And when we look at the stock performance and the stock price as well, it is still trading lower than the conversion price of 10 rupees. So definitely a bullish note coming from Citi. And on the back of this, when we look at stock performance also, it is up in trade today.
All right, moving on from Vodafone Idea on the back of the positive brokerage note coming in. Foram, you picked out Hutco for us. Now, this counter has really started out giving good moves in the last 1 month, if you will, 15% up move in the last 1 month. From here on, does the positive momentum continue?
As you rightly made a mention, it's given a good return in the past 1 month. So when we talk about the stock from a broader perspective also, since the month of December onwards, the stock price did see almost 39 to 40 odd % of correction from 262 to almost 158. That was in the month of March or end of February, you can say. After forming a bottom, we have seen the stock price showing some consistent up move, and along in the past 1 month, it's been one of the outperformers, we can say that way. Now, since currently the stock price has kind of retraced or is facing a bit of short-term resistance of around 50% of its previous fall of from 260 to almost 158, we can expect more of the stock price to consolidate, which gives an opportunity to accumulate or even buy. The stock price has formed a high today itself of around 222. However, one can wait for a level of closer to 209 to 210 to buy the stock, which coincides with the 100-day moving average, which means that there could be a good support level at those levels. Thus, one can continue to hold as well, but a very strict stop loss should be maintained below the levels of around 200, or one can keep it at 199 to around 198. And it has a potential target of closer to 238 to almost 240.
Okay, Foram, thanks for that view on Hutco. Ansh, coming to you, HCL Tech is the stock that you've picked for us. It's a sector you track closely. Tell us what's the reason you've picked out this stock for us?
Well, HCL Tech has integrated NVIDIA AI enterprise with its Gen AI platform, which is AI Force. Also, the company has integrated NVIDIA Omniverse with its physical AI solution, which has a name of Smart Twin. In addition to this, company also aims to accelerate AI adoption and speed up software development. Also, they plan to boost the engineering efficiency for enterprises. Also, if you see on chart, then the stock is trading with a gain of more than 1%, but it has been consolidating within a range from last 5 consecutive sessions.
All right, with that, we've come to an end of the show. Ansh, Gaurav and Foram, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us, all three of you. But before we leave, we're leaving you with the ongoing campaign. Mutual Fund Sahi Hai presents Smart Nivesh Sahi Nivesh, partnered by Times Network. We bring you the Mutual Fund Simple Hai segment aimed at debunking common myths about mutual funds. And in today's segment, we are addressing a widespread misconception that often confuses the new investors. Do you really need a demat account to invest in mutual funds? Let's find out. And with that, it's a wrap on Market Fatafat. Snehi and I will take your leave. Thank you so much for tuning in.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.